Yo, it is Mayo here, back at it again with the long-awaited Kingdom Season 3 video. Sorry I kept you waiting another day, but we're on with it now because I wanted to keep the quality extra up, and we're getting on with it now, so it's okay. And basically no one watches these anyway, so I don't know. Let's get on with the video. Yeah, so we start out with basically what I wanted to do with this video, where I wanted to just portray the highlights of each episode, and I'll be using screenshots of the anime because I can do that now, because it's not the terrible season 1 or 2 that's just animation looks poopy, but now I get to use the great season 3 animation and it's epic. So yeah, basically we start out, it's all good except for this one army that comes up and attacks Kin, which is our main state. And I'll be using screenshots from the anime, which uses like a different translation, but I'm just gonna do it with the manga translation because I know that better, but whatever. And basically they come to attack the main state of Kin, but then they're like, okay, so this is a little bit of a problem, but we can deal with it, right? But no. What happens is that there are another army that came to invade, and it turns out that the first army there was not just one army, but a combined army of two different states. And then they get 3 different reports about them being attacked at 3 different places from 3 different states. So basically, there are 7 main states, and they just got attacked by all 6 of them. And what that means is that they have been attacked by a coalition army. And the other thing it means is that Riboku, who was going to make an alliance with them, and he had one with them before, that he said was going to last 1 to 2 years, it did end up lasting 1 to 2 years. And what happened is now there's a whole coalition army. He betrayed them, and he's basically the mastermind behind all of this, even if he's not going to be taking part in the actual like strategy or tactics of the battle as much, as we'll see later on, but I'll explain that later on as well. And the Kingdom anime of season 3 only has 4 episodes so far, but it's already crazy in all the things we get to see and all the characters that are involved. And in this, there are obviously like a lot of different characters because we're getting all 6 of the other armies coming to attack them. So I wanted to talk about some of the main things we saw. Like, first of all, there are a few things that they're setting up. Like, for instance, they're going to set up Shin's main battle, and Shin's the main character in the story. So we're going to see him probably fight some more of the 1,000-man commanders that are with Wei's side. And besides that, and we get introduced and reintroduced to a lot of the main generals of Kin, and we get to see them all gather together before they scatter. And they were all gathered together to make this battle plan to see how they were going to deal with all the other armies that were attacking them. And we get to see a lot of them that we've seen before, like Moto, Osen, Kanki, and a bunch of other ones. There's like at least 7 of them there, and basically they're trying to make a battle plan. But what happened before that was that when we discovered that they were the coalition army, we got to see more from the 3 main chancellors, as well as Sei, who is the king of Kin, and another one of the who I would consider to be the main characters in the story. So it was really nice to see him step up and then actually take charge of the entire situation, where in the past he didn't always have full control over the country or the state. But now that he's closer to being an adult, we also get to see him grow up and grow into his role as the king. So it's really nice to see him taking charge and just asserting his dominance and just showing them what he's really made of. But we also get to see a lot of the enemy commanders and the main enemy commanders for all of the other states, like Go-Ho Mei, which I'll get into later in the video because he's mostly focused on in episode 4. We also get to see Seikai, who is the leader and commander-in-chief of the Han army. We also get to see Kan Mei, who is the commander-in-chief of the Chu army, and then we get to see Ordo, who is the commander-in-chief of the Yan army. And we get to see all of them gather together before they start to separate as well, and then start to fight some of the commanders that we know and love. stuff from the main Kin army. And while they're meeting there, they also meet up with Riboku, who is not going to take as big of a role in this battle, but his title is the Show Chancellor and a great general, as well as one of the three greats of the state of Zhao. And he is with one of the Zhao chancellors, another one, and he is going to be the main leader in this battle. So he's the commander-in-chief of all the armies, and he's going to be the high commander, and his name is Shin Kun. So he has the same name as our main character, but I don't know, he's not as relevant, and we'll see more of him later. Well, I'm hoping we will, because we don't actually see much of him in the 4 episodes that are covered in the anime. But besides all those things that I talked about, can we talk about the animation for a second? It looked beautiful, beautiful. All the little troops in smaller view, beautiful. All the backgrounds, beautiful. The word textures, beautiful. I don't know how they got it this good, but it was very good, especially in the first episode. But it lowered like slightly, like by 0.1 every other episode. So I'm hoping that they're really trying to keep up this high quality animation, and that's why they paused the anime because of the virus, and they will hopefully get it back soon, and it's still going to look beautiful, I hope. But one other thing I really appreciated about the animation was that they cleared up some of the character designs that were kind of really bad before, like some of the other Shin's rivals, and those are the other 1,000-man commander units, like Moten and Ohon. Moten in particular, his design was very much exaggerated. They made his hair color like very orange when it's supposed to be like slightly tinted, and they changed that back to be correct in season 3, which I was really surprised by, and pleasantly surprised, because it's a good thing. And then all of the Kin army units basically just start moving out, and then they start going their separate ways for each battle, and that's where we get to see a lot of the stuff take place. Like Shin is now fighting with Duke Hyo, and that's kind of where we're going to see more of him in the future. But we did get to see one moment with him earlier, which is when he was basically just looking around, because he was kind of very confused as to what the situation was, because no one really knew except for the main heads of the country about what was happening with this coalition army. So Shin was kind of just going around, and he eventually ran into a few of the comrades that had fallen because of this army surprise attack, and he kind of had this empowering speech, and we got to see a little bit more of his personality as he's grown up and matured over the story, which was really nice. But then getting on to one of the really important topics I wanted to discuss, which is Kankoku Pass, and that is basically this giant wall that had been built, and it defends basically the state of Gin, or the interior of it, and the actual castle that is inside it is only half as short as what this actual pass is in height, and we get to see how huge this thing is, and it's never been penetrated by any other army. But then in this instance, which is what the anime has ended on so far, is something where we get to see some more of the technology in the story, and it's really nice to see that, even if it takes place in the past. But we get to see and showcase something that we weren't normally expecting to see, especially in something that takes place so far in the past. But it kind of makes sense because people are tacticians, and they're always looking for a new way to involve and improve the battles that they're taking place in. And in this moment, we get to see the general that I mentioned earlier, who is Goho Mei, and he is one that we saw in like a few other previous clips of him being like a very tactical man in the way that he fights. And he comes up with this giant structure that we really weren't sure what it was going to be, but they assumed that it was going to be something that was going to try to breach this wall, but it was definitely shorter than the wall when it came to it. But then something was unveiled, and then part of it flipped over based on the weight of these boulders that they dropped, and it flipped over onto the main part of the wall, and they were able to breach it. So now their troops are going to be able to invade the main section of the Kin's army and state. And this is something that's definitely going to affect not just the army, but the people of Kin. And what Riboku's main plan is to just divide the state of Kin between all of the other factions involved in this battle based on how much the other armies contribute to this battle. So it's basically just a way for them to not just like expand their territory, but also get rid of their competition. But they have to do our main kingdom dirty and do it as basically at their expense, even if these are all the characters that we've known to grow and appreciate more, except for characters like Hyokai, who are currently out of the scene and doing other things. But we'll probably get back to there soon enough. But I don't know, I haven't read what's past the Kingdom Season 3 anime. I'll probably be making a video on that fairly soon. And yeah, bye.